Good time.
There we go.
I'll start again then. Okay, so welcome to the July MNRCC meeting. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to be with us. Can I get an approval of the agenda for today? I'll move it in a second.
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Approval of the minutes which was sent out. I'll make a motion to approve. Second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Okay, chair's report. It's right here. Give me a second. Let's see if there's anything I want to really add to it. Here we go. Okay, so we had successful, I hope it's successful time with Senator Schumer, Leader Schumer, and getting him to support getting our customers back their money. Lisa and I were with Jerry Brinkman, who actually got appointed to the board. He's one of the newest. We have two new members on the board, Jerry for the Long Island Railroad Commuter Council, and a gentleman named Harry Poor, who is the Deputy County Executive in Orange County, replaced Dr. Susan Metzger. So organizer that I am, I was trying to arrange that we would all ride the same train going to the board meeting next week, but it began to fall apart because certain people won't be up in their homes and other places. So we'll see how many we can get. And
Maybe you can ride back together.
maybe. So at least one of them is because I'm driving him over to Tarrytown. And so he has to come back with me to get his car. So ridership is still going up. Let me give you the latest numbers here with what's been provided. And we'll go first to Metro North because that's what we're concerned with. So the latest date was on Tuesday, which it was down 59%. Monday was minus 63. Over the weekends, it was down like 33%. So that's not bad. My wife and I were on the train on Tuesday, so maybe we contributed to minus 59 instead of being minus 63. The Long Island Railroad always does better, and their weekend ridership was comparable to what we had, minus 30s, low minus 30s, and there are a few points off, like in the high minus 50s. Just the nature of the ridership that they have. Oh, is that Rich?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm going to just put it on mute for a second.
Okay, well, thank you for joining.
Okay.
Oh, so we definitely have a quorum. For those who are interested, the buses is in the high minus 40s, and the subways minus mid 50s. So we're climbing back slowly. I rode the two Metro North trains on the Hudson Line. The one on Tuesday had a lot of people on it. It was the 345 out of Grand Central. But the previous week I took on Wednesday a 614 and it was packed. Let me tell you, there were a couple of standees. I mean, people are reluctant to sit in the middle seat before the pandemic. And now they are really reluctant to sit in that middle seat. So there were a few standees, and that was that. Station manager resumed. If it was local, I would go, but it really isn't something for board members to attend. I've done a few of them before the pandemic. The summer, yes, actually, we went to the city on Tuesday to see Van Gogh, and I got an email, a press release ahead of time that they were going to have a ceremony to promote packages and things in the Hudson Valley in Connecticut. And we got there just before 10 o'clock is when the press conference started. So we got to speak with some of the senior staff that was there. Our East Side Access tour was very interesting. How did yours go, Lisa?
It was really interesting. It was great to see. I'm sure that I would have liked to have seen it even a year ago. We were to be on the last tour that they were giving on March 13th of last year, and COVID. So a lot has been done. I think that there are I think if they had to do it again, that there are hopefully things that they would change about the construction there, about the ticket windows and and knowing that they don't need them, about some of the entrances, about, two of the entrances are not going to be ready to be open when the terminal is ready to be open, or when East Side Access is ready to be open. Both the one under the Chase Building or 270 Park, and the one at 347 Madison. So it sounded to me even as though the people leading the tour had some thoughts about things that could be improved. But, we can all be quarterbacks on Monday mornings.
So we're going to have another one for the PCAC members who didn't get to go?
There were two who were unable to go, but we will find out. Francis, I hadn't heard from you as to whether you had wanted to or able to make it then. I think that it would be great to open it more broadly if we can do that as well. So
What do you mean by open it more broadly?
well, to the people who attend our meetings also.
Oh, no, I'm not worried about them. My question was for PCAC members.
Right.
Because
We can ask if there's interest. We had two people, Sharon King Hogue broke her foot or something, and Christy Tolbert from LIRCC had a family. Actually, she had a bad reaction to her second vaccination, so she was unable to attend. So those are the two people who were not able to join that day. But if there is interest, then I think we could get another.
Walter and Francis, would you be interested? Rich, would you be interested?
Yeah, I might be interested depending on the schedule.
I'm not sure, Randy. I have to get back to you.
Yeah, but I don't have a date even. I mean, if a date is available, would you be interested in going?
Yes.
Okay.
If it's
All
in,
right. All right, so we
I'm
have
away
three
in
people.
3 weeks.
So we have three people on us, the council, that would like to go if when a date becomes available.
All right, great. I'm sorry, Rich, you said you're away at some time?
Rich?
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
you were
I'm
saying you were away?
I'm away 3 weeks in August, the first 3 weeks. We go back up to Canada.
It's a good time to go to Canada.
Okay.
I will see if we can get it at the end of July, perhaps.
Okay. All right. So the only thing I could add is that I received a bunch of emails from this fellow I know who lives in Jersey, and he goes to the city once a week. He's working on a book with a friend of his. So they take the Pascack Valley line to Secaucus Junction and the train to New York. And so his observations over the last 4 or 5, maybe 6 weeks have been when he gets back to Secaucus, he wants to ride the 1245 train, which goes to Spring Valley. And that comes in on track H almost all the time. And 4 minutes behind that is a train going to Middletown, New York, on the Port Jervis line. So the announcements are made in 10 minutes in advance of the trains arriving. So, and then when the train is actually coming into the station, an announcement is made. And then while the train is loading, the announcement for the other train is made. And a number of people on each of the days that he rode the train were reporting we're getting on the wrong train. Conductors made whatever announcements they were making, it wasn't strong enough. So people wound up being, and it was only discovered once the train had left Secaucus. So the options are to get off at the next stop and ride back, or go to Spring Valley and take transport a Rockland 59 bus, or take an Uber or some similar service to Suffolk, and then you're still facing a more than 2-hour delay in getting to where you want to go. So I sent excerpts of his email to senior management in New Jersey Transit, requesting that they take the train that was coming in at 1249 and simply move it to track G. I mean, it's a no-brainer. So it took a while to get it done, and they have done it. And actually, you know what, I've been checking it every day. The day I thought it was fixed, it wasn't fixed because they had to write a new program for it. So I'm going to look right now. And I've been checking every day. And anyway, he wrote when he was there last week that there were okay, let's see, 1245 is on H and the 1249 is on G. Okay, so the program is in, the program is working, and he said there were no people who got on the wrong trade last week. So we have a success there. We're having a board briefing this afternoon, and so usually the board office sends out sends an email of what the agenda is, but we haven't sent it yet. It's only an hour and change away, but generally it's been COVID-19 report and the safety report, and I guess there'll be something about the budget because we get a preliminary budget this month, right? Is that correct? Sure, the July plan is updated.
Yes, the July plan, that would be very interesting to hear.
Okay, so so we'll see what happens with that. I did ask, actually, when I was on the train last Tuesday, I overheard a conversation about the peak fares. Because right now, since pandemic began, they're charging off peak. And so I asked Kathy about it, and she said, well, I don't have any idea what they're doing, but it could happen when they restore the service, it's 85, I think it's 85% of what it was before.
On
At the
August
end of August
29th.
29th.
Yeah,
Yeah, it might happen then, but she said, it's not, my decision to make. And I might ask that question this afternoon.
one of the things that the Long Island Railroad Commuter Council voted to do was to write a letter in support, which I have to do, write a letter in support of 20 trip tickets. That would,
I would support that. Rich, Walter, Francis, you think it's a good idea? Would there be a time expiration or like
I
the
think
6
that
months?
it could be, whatever we could ask for. Newsday ran some numbers on the number of tickets that the Long Island Railroad was doing. The difference between the monthly passes they were selling and the 10 trips, and how then the frequency that people were going in. So it makes perfect sense. So I think it would be stronger to say that both of the councils support that, if that were something that.
Okay, do we need a resolution or?
I think if you just all support it, then I'll make it from.
All right, I support it.
Yeah, but it has to be priced properly, obviously, to be attractive to the customers.
Yeah, Rich supports it.
So the right now, and I'm not sure if it's the same on Metro North, on Long Island Railroad, if you buy a 10 trip off peak, it's discounted. If you buy a 10 trip peak, it's not. On Metro North, is that the same?
I never even thought about that.
I
Cheryl,
think it
can
is.
you-
I'd have to check, but I think it's the same way on Metro North.
Yeah,
Cheryl, can you do that
yeah.
quick? Please, we'll just check that to make sure that it's the off-peak fare.
Yeah,
for-
they do things in parallel. That would be
They don't always though, because
For instance, like Metro North, there's the 10 trip for intermediate fares. Let's say you're going from Fordham to White Plains, but there's no such, that doesn't exist in Long Railroad.
right,
You'd think that they would be standardized, but they're not.
right. And
Wow,
also
okay.
Metro North, if you're going reverse, if you're going from Grand Central to Stamford during peak times,
it's
during,
peak fares.
un-COVID, it's peak fare.
Right,
But if
correct.
I'm going from Penn Station to Jamaica during peak times, it's always off peak.
Oh,
Doesn't matter where I'm going. So it's,
just a cash grab Metro North did years ago.
yeah, well, they realized where their reverse commute heavy market was. And the Long Island Railroad hasn't done that yet. They would be smart to, but I'm not saying that.
For the fare charge from Long Railroad, there's no discount for the peak 10 trip.
Is there a discount for the 10 trip off peak?
Off peak there is.
Okay, so we'll say for a discount for the same discounted 20 trip, off peak, and
On the west side of the Hudson, they have it for the New York stations, but New Jersey Transit doesn't have that for their stations.
okay. Okay, So,
See, advocates have been fighting for that for years, and they had it, but they took it away. Now they've been fighting for it to get it back, but it hasn't happened.
for the 10 trip, 20 trips? 10
No,
trips?
no, just to have round trip off-peak fares,
Oh. Huh.
Okay. Old business, I guess, governor's office appointments, any news? Oh, congratulations to Walter, who's attending his first meeting as
Right,
an
as a
official
member.
MNRCC member. Yay!
Hey, good to be
Yes,
here.
we have news.
Last time I was a concerned citizen, and I'm
That's
still
right.
concerned, but now I'm a concerned member.
Yes, we're honored and humbled to have you here.
Yes, thank you.
Walter has a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge, and he's going to be a great asset for us. So anyway, aside from that, anybody, any news? Nothing.
No, the news is they're in process.
I guess my conversation with Melissa DeRussa just yielded one nomination. All right.
Actually, Walter, you had a conversation recently with Joan McDonald and others at the Westchester County Executive's Office. It
Yes.
might be beneficial, and I don't know if this was part of that conversation, to let them know that their other appointments are being held up.
I did tell them that.
Okay.
And they were curious as to why, and I said, I have no idea why. I told them how mine came along, and all of a sudden it was there after a long wait. So they were going to talk to somebody, I guess in the governor's office, to try to see if they could push them along.
Great.
And they were kind of befuddled. They had no idea why there was the big delay.
Right. Well, it's because the governor's office has to do their own background check after the appointing executive does their background check. So it's basically double checking the check.
Well,
Sorry.
No, do you think they're more likely to listen to them than to us? I think so.
I did hear that Wilhelm Rondo withdrew his name.
Withdrew it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, he wouldn't have made it through by December anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be when the Bronx Borough President's term expires.
Okay.
So
He was a good guy to have for the short time that we had him.
yeah.
All right. What else do we want to talk about? Any new business? The Freedom Ticket 2?
Yes. Walter, do you want to first give a brief overview of what your conversation was, and then Bradley will give
Okay.
because it sort of dovetails into that.
They raised a number of concerns, and I raised a number of concerns. So we had a long meeting, and it was very productive as far as exchanging ideas. Their number one item, at least they started with, was Penn Station access for the New Haven line and those stations in the Bronx in particular. And they are concerned that that doesn't fall by the wayside and slip. They asked that everybody try to monitor that and make sure it happens, and that it happens on schedule if at all possible. There was talk about the Omni cards from several standpoints. One is how it's working in the subway, because a lot of people from Westchester ride the subway, obviously. But beyond that, how the senior citizens are going to handle the Omni cards. And I told them what I know, which is that eventually they're going to issue senior Omni cards to the senior citizens. At least that's what I have heard. And the other thing is that the seniors will be able to identify one specific credit card in their portfolio of credit cards, and that card will be linked to the senior fare in the computer system. And so if they tap that particular card, they'll get the senior fare. That's the information that I have been given. As far as I know, it's accurate, but that's what I told them. So they're concerned that this all comes off smoothly and works, and that the senior citizens don't get penalized as a result of that.
I will just say, I'm going to put in a plug, because next Thursday at our New York City Transit Riders Council, we're going to have Wayne Leiden, who is succeeding, at least for now, Al Poutre in rolling out Omni. I don't know if he'll say it's Omni time, but these are great questions to ask if you're available next Thursday at about 12:20.
Thursday,
For
okay,
those
if
of you who haven't seen Al Poutre, whenever he started a press conference, he would say, "What time is it? It's Omni time."
We put a lot of energy to that.
Yeah.
There were a few other discussions that don't really concern all of the folks on the council, but we did talk about the additional running time that's been added to the schedules on all three Metro North lines east of the Hudson. And they were totally unaware of that. I mean, I raised it, and they were a little concerned about it. And I gave them some examples, and I told them that our chairman had made an analysis of this over the years, and we find it's taking a lot longer to travel between some points than it did 7 or 8 years ago. So they asked that we stay on top of that. They are definitely concerned, and they said they will support us on whatever position we may take if push comes to shove. They raised also a question about a possible reduced fare for intra-county travel, travel within Westchester County, similar to the city ticket in New York City. And I said, well, we would talk about it. I had no idea if anybody was working on such a thing or not. But I'm raising that issue now with you folks to see where we're at with that, if at all. Also mentioned about the timetable printing. I got to say they were shocked, and that was the word, shocked, to hear that Metro North is no longer printing timetables. So I told them the story. Well, you can go online if you can read it without even with your glasses. You print it out and you get all this fine print. You have to magnify to read it, or print it out in 2 or 3 pages. And that is unacceptable as far as the county administration goes. They think we should have timetables. Now, I explained, you know, there may be a good reason right now not to print timetables because of the changes in the schedules are being made so frequently. But once things stabilize, their view is they should be printed timetables once again. And then the other thing was the request for an intermediate type of ticket, similar to what we were just discussing, a 20 ride type ticket for people who aren't going to be traveling every day and wouldn't want to spend the money on a monthly ticket. There should be some intermediate ticket at a reduced price that those folks can use in order to attract people back onto the railroad once again. Well, those were the highlights of the meeting.
Thank you. That 20 trip was something we also proposed and discussed during the fare increase hearings the end of last year. Thank you, Walter.
I see that Shaul has his hand raised.
Yeah, the thing is, this is something I want to bring up and something that's long driven me nuts. The thing is, the issue with increased running times is Metro North maintenance practices. The thing is, like that for at least 20, 25 years, there's almost never been a continuous period where all 4 tracks in New Haven line have been in service. They've been doing catenary work there. It takes years. Like it takes them forever to do to redo rails. It takes them forever to fix rail ties. And then there's the report that Connecticut put out about speeding up the New Haven line, which I didn't think was good, but that it shows that there are other maintenance issues. It's really ridiculous that how long it takes them to do all these things when you have other countries. And the thing is, Amtrak doesn't have these problems in other parts of the Northeast Corridor. In Germany, other parts of the world, you have machines for track laying. They're more productive. Metro North doesn't take advantage of their outages overnight. Metro North does not run 24 hours a day. There might be a few Amtrak trains like 2, 3, 4 a.m., but the main problem is maintenance productivity, and I've never heard anyone address that. It'd be great to look into why things are the way they are in Metro North and how that can be improved. Like this could be something the MTIG could be looking at and probably should be looking at.
Well, you're free to advise them of it, as any of us are. Yeah, my train arrived in Grand Central 9 minutes late and 8 minutes late, the last 2. So yes, and I mentioned it.
Actually late, not even 5 minutes late.
No, 8 minutes early and 9 minutes early. Yeah.
Oh, early.
Early.
Oh.
You know, the train I took yesterday morning was 4 minutes early getting in.
Huh, so maybe the work, the catenary, did they finish all the catenary work now?
Yeah, that was done. That was done a couple of months ago. That was in my last chair's report. They
Right.
did it forever.
Right.
It was was it when we last, May? I mentioned at the May meeting that it was
And the
done.
reason why trains can arrive early is partially because dwell times are less because there are fewer riders on board, and also there's so much padding timetables as well.
Right.
Shaul, it would be really great on the maintenance productivity of just maybe producing for our next meeting, just maybe like a short 1-page write-up of best practices that you found in other places, and maybe do like a short little write-up of what the maintenance practices are here, of whatever maybe you might be able to find out. And maybe in time for our next meeting, we can look at that and discuss that and see if there's a desire or need to push forward on that.
That'll be in October.
That'll
Okay.
give you plenty of time to do
plenty
that.
of time. You have plenty of time.
Amongst all the other things we're having you doing.
Right.
Walter, I wanted to ask you, when you were at the meeting, they were talking about reduced fare travel in Westchester. Was that just for weekend travel, like city ticket, or was that for travel at all times?
They were thinking of something like a city ticket. But I think they'd like to have it at all times if that would be feasible. To travel, say, from Mount Vernon to White Plains and intra-county travel, that type of thing. And they didn't really distinguish between weekend and weekday, although a city ticket I know was only on weekends.
And was this intra? I always get confused. So is this intra? So within in just Westchester County, not necessarily going from Westchester to Putnam?
Yes,
and other counties.
That's what they thought was limited to Westchester County. And then the other discussion was a ticket that's less than a monthly ticket, such as a 20-trip ticket, which would be mostly to and from New York City, obviously.
Right. So that's all great. So for Freedom Ticket, for the suburban discount anyways, we do have language in the recommendations that right now the current Atlantic Ticket program has a weekly with transfers to the subway and bus network, and then there's the one-way reduced fare. We were calling for, and I haven't edited this in the report yet, but we have been calling for a monthly option, but because people aren't traveling the same way, that looking into finessing that language a little bit to include language about like the possibility of a 20-trip ticket. But I think,
yeah, you could say, let's say multi-trip or something.
Multi-trip, and that we would want that as well to have transfers to New York City Transit subway and bus network. I just lost my train of thought.
It's essentially a reduced fare commuter rail, reverse commute, reduced fare commuter rail, and off-peak commuter rail
Yes.
options for
Yes.
For tickets. There are 3 recommendations. We'll send around why don't we send around the 3-pager, Bradley?
Yeah, I want to finesse, because I've updated the actual report and I haven't touched the 3-pager, so let me work on that.
Okay.
One thing that I noted in the report is that there are discounted fares that do happen, but of course they only happen within Westchester County between certain station pairs. And I had noted that you have, and I don't have it in front of me, so excuse me if I'm mispronouncing anything or getting the stations wrong, but there's the Pauling station and the Patterson station, which are next to each other. However, one's in Putnam and one is in Westchester.
Yeah, the upper column.
Right. So the off-peak fare between those 2 stations is $11.50.
Oh my God.
Is ridiculous. And so it would be great to what we're trying to do is not just look at travel within just one county, but also to have travel to go across the counties, so that a fare such as that could be reduced.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Shaul?
Yeah, and to add on to that, the thing is, in my research, like last few weeks, I actually found out that the New York Central it implemented zone scheduling in the 60s, and I found an article in which someone working for the railroad admitted before the plan moved to zone scheduling that they deliberately set intermediate short haul fares between stations high to drive those trips off the railroad, trying to get them into cars, buses, subways, like in order to allow them to skip stops and allow for the current zone scheduling, in which you make 3 stops and then goes direct to Grand Central. This was all a deliberate strategy by the New
Yeah,
York.
so so the conductors wouldn't have to stop and sell tickets.
Yeah, that was the policy on the New York Central, on the old New York Central, no question about that. And they wanted
Walter
everybody to buy
knows.
monthly tickets to and from Grand Central. And as far as local travel, they didn't think it was worthwhile bothering with, and so they didn't do anything to cater to it. Whereas the New Haven had a tremendous amount of local travel, Mount Vernon to New Rochelle, and New Rochelle to Port Chester, and things like that, which we still have pretty much, I think, on Metro North on the New Haven line. But the New Haven encouraged it, and the New York Central did not.
And the thing is, then Metro North like undid some of this in the 80s and 90s. Like starting 1990, they introduced reduced fares for reverse commuting between stations like Fordham to Mount Vernon West, to Port Chester, to Stamford, White Plains. Then ridership skyrocketed. The thing is, Metro North's done some things that Long Railroad hasn't done anything. But there are things like this to build on.
Well, I've seen in my travels over the different railroads where somebody was on a train and was going to profit cash. I'll come back to you.
So
I'll get you later. And they never do.
And so to give you like a bit of an update on Freedom Ticket as a whole, we have submitted the report to Jano, who we believe will probably be the next chairman of the MTA, at least for the time being. And so we're trying to get a meeting with him to get his thoughts and concerns on the proposal so that we can actually move forward and actually release the report, which we've been waiting to do for some time. We're also, Shaul's been working hard creating some supportive blog pieces, as have I. So we once we release the report, we're going to continue the conversation, meet with elected officials. We met with Senator Comrie last week, and he's very supportive of it. He wants us to be able to tour around with him and present that to other decision makers as well. What I would like to do, I guess maybe at the next meeting, which is in October, and the report had better be out by then, is that we can present to you all and kind of go over the lay of the land and what our efforts are to keep pushing on that, and especially tailor that presentation to Metro North riders for our October meeting. It's something that we can do.
I just want also to mention that since last year, the entire PCAC staff, the 2 people who are on my screen, the top middle and the bottom left, middle left, Bradley and Lisa. And so the executive, they, through Andrew Albert's knowledge and contacts, and he was very proactive, the MTA agreed to give us two of our staff positions back. And so we had interviews about a month and a half ago for an administrative assistant, and we all came together on a choice. And her name is Jessica, and she, last I saw, she's supposed to start on the 22nd.
Well, hopefully it shall either start on the 22nd or August 5th. So we're waiting to get that date.
She is a current New York City Transit Authority employee. She's a subway conductor right now, but she had her knowledge and her interest and how she handles herself. We convinced all of us that she was the right candidate. How many people applied for that position, please?
More than 700.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot.
So yesterday twice, and this morning ahead of this meeting, we interviewed 4 candidates for research assistant. All
Research and
excellent
communications.
Research and communications. They were all excellent choices. So we need to wrap this meeting up within 15 minutes so that we can get together on the executive committee and decide who will be the next person that gets hired. But I thank Bradley and Lisa for they've really been working long and hard. And Shaul, of course, is Gav still with us?
No.
No.
Oh, okay.
No one,
But-
no one maybe.
Yes,
So-
right. She's interning actually for the MTA right now in their real-time data
Oh, okay.
department. And she is interested when she's done with that to come back to us in the fall,
Oh,
but
we'd
that
love-
hasn't been decided yet.
Well, I never met her in person, but she's done all good work for us in the time that I've seen her virtually. So I definitely support that. So anyway, we're going to make that decision and see how long it takes the wheels of the government to roll to get it going here. So I don't have anything else. If there's anything else anyone wants to discuss, please let us know right now. Okay, so our next get together is going to be is September PCAC meeting. That's still going to be virtual, or we haven't decided yet.
Yes, that'll still be virtual. And maybe Bradley, that's the time to give the Freedom Ticket update presentation.
So it's September the 9th.
September 9th.
What happened?
The
September
the
9th?
PCAC meeting.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good.
September 9th. All right, if no one has any.
Schedule that I had showed a meeting on August 19th. I gather we don't have such a meeting scheduled.
No, we don't have August meeting, not for several years.
Oh, because I had a
No.
schedule that said August 19th on it.
It must be someone else's meeting. It's not ours.
I had scheduled it, but because I scheduled it as an ongoing meeting, recurring meeting.
Here.
Well, when I became the chair, I said, if the MTA, and I was on the board, I said, if the MTA board is not going to meet in August, why should we? And it worked well, but then they've had special board meetings every year since then.
Yeah.
But
The
I
MTA
made,
board had August meetings into the 90s.
yeah, we voted not to have one, and
Okay.
thankfully there's nothing that crucial that we have to take people away from their off time or whatever, and so I think the policy should remain in effect. If somebody wants to really have a meeting, I guess we could look at it, but I think we're all meeting and zoomed out. So
do.
if there's,
Not
Get-
want to have a meeting.
I'm sorry.
I said I do not
What?
want to have a meeting.
Oh, okay. All right. So
I
if there's,
don't have a vote, but I support that.
all right. So we're in agreement. Okay. So if there's nothing else, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Second.
Welcome.
Okay.
Walter.
But no one is going to object. So
Okay.
I thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your summer and look forward to seeing you on September the 9th.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.